Okay, let's dive in. You know that time of year, Apple's WWDC, it always feels like a sneak peek into, well, what our phones and computers are going to look like very soon.
It really does. It's that moment they unveil the software roadmap, the stuff that actually runs the gadgets we use constantly.
Exactly. And you've given us some great source material here covering the big keynote from WWDC 2025 with Tim Cook on stage. So our job today is to really unpack all of that, figure out what the biggest announcements were, spot the themes, and, what it actually means for you listening and your devices.
Yeah, and looking through this, two things really jump out straight away. First, a really big visual change across the board.
Right.
And second, some pretty chunky updates to, well, pretty much all their operating systems.
And that visual change has a specific name they're using, doesn't it? Something glassy.
That's it, liquid glass. Apple's unveiled this totally new design language for their software. They're calling it liquid glass.
Liquid glass. Okay.
And apparently, the whole inspiration comes straight from the look and feel of the software on the Vision Pro headset.
Ah, okay. That makes sense. So taking that sort of translucent, kind of layered look from spatial computing and bringing it over to our iPhones and Macs. That's interesting.
And the sources are calling this a massive change, or the broadest design update ever, I think one said.
Sounds like it. The goal seems really clear. Unification, making everything look and feel, consistent no matter which Apple device you're picking up. And the material points out this is the first really big visual overhaul since way back in iOS 7.
Wow, iOS 7. That feels like a lifetime ago. So which systems are actually getting this liquid glass look?
Pretty much everything. We're talking iOS 26, iPadOS 26, watchOS 26, visionOS 26, and tvOS 26 as well.
Hold on. iOS 26, iPadOS 26, are they aligning all the version numbers with the year now? That seems new.
Yes, that's another detail highlighted in the sources. They're standardizing the naming iOS 26, watchOS 26, and so on. Makes it clearer which year's release it is, I guess.
Makes sense. The only exception, the lone holdout, as one source put it, is macOS. That keeps its California place name, and this year it's macOS Tahoe.
macOS Tahoe. Got it. Okay, so unified 26 names, this new liquid glass look.
Yeah.
From a user point of view, why is this big design unification actually, a big deal? Why does it matter?
Well, it's really about making things smoother mentally, reducing that sort of cognitive load.
Okay.
When you jump from your iPhone to your iPad, maybe to your Mac, if the basic look and feel, the way things work, is similar, it just makes that transition easier.
Right.
It reinforces that feeling of one single ecosystem, just on different screens. Less like switching between totally separate worlds,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Seamlessness. All right, let's start digging into what this new design and all the other updates actually mean for the software itself, starting with the obvious one, the iPhone.
Right. iOS 26, so liquid glass. It'll show up right from the home screen in apps, giving things a fresh look.
Yeah.
But Apple seems keen to stress it should still feel familiar.
Good. Nobody likes feeling lost after an update.
Exactly. But beyond the look, the sources really highlight some practical changes in the core apps, especially Messages and the Phone app. Things people use constantly.
Okay, what's new in Messages?
It's getting a pretty nice refresh. Group chats, for instance. You can set custom backgrounds now.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, even using Apple's Image Playground tool, which is their AI image generator, to create something unique for your chat. Plus, you get polls in chats. Apple Cache integration is easier. Typing indicators are still there, obviously.
Sounds like some fun additions. Yeah. But the thing that really caught my eye in the notes was this unknown senders feature. That sounds useful.
Oh, yeah, this could be a big one for dealing with message clutter.
Yeah.
Basically, texts from numbers you don't know get automatically filtered into a separate area.
Okay.
And from there, the sources say you have clear choices. Mark them as known if it's actually someone you want to hear from, ask the sender for more info, or just delete the whole thing. It keeps your main inbox cleaner, focused on people you actually know, like a smart filter for texts.
That sounds brilliant, honestly. So much spam these days. What about the Phone app? Any changes there?
Yeah, the Phone app is getting tweaked for usability too. They're combining voicemails, recent calls, and your favorites list into one place.
So less hunting around in different tabs.
Exactly. And there are two standout features mentioned that sound genuinely helpful for calls you don't want to pick up right away.
Oh.
First is call screening. The idea is, for unknown numbers, your phone can silently answer the call, get some info about who's calling using available data, and show it to you.
So you see who it might be before you decide to answer or ignore.
Precisely. without the caller knowing you're even looking. And then there's hold assist.
Hold assist. Does that mean what I think it means? Like it waits on hold for me?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
The sources describe it detecting when you're put on hold, that awful music.
Yes.
It monitors the call, keeps your place in the queue, and then alerts you when an actual human comes back on the line.
Wow. Okay, that is solving a real problem. Those phone features sound genuinely smart. All right, so that's iOS 26. New look, smarter core apps. Let's talk iPad. The sources were making some pretty bold claims here.
They really were. Apple's apparently calling iPadOS 26 the biggest iPad release ever, even saying it's the update we've all been waiting for.
We've all been waiting for, okay, high expectations. What's the main thrust here?
The theme that keeps coming up in the sources is this idea of the massification of the iPad.
Massification, so bringing more Mac-like features and power to the iPad, making it more like a laptop replacement.
Exactly that. You're getting things like personalizing folders in the Files app, finally a proper preview app like on the Mac for marking things up,
Nice.
a menu bar within apps, a new local capture feature for recording and sharing, and background tasks, letting apps do more when they're not front and center. It's all about adding that desktop class power.
That sounds like a serious upgrade. But the big one for iPad power users has always been multitasking, windowing.
And Apple says they're tackling that head-on with iPadOS 26. There's a totally new multitasking and windowing system.
Okay, how does it work?
The sources describe it as letting you tile windows, arrange them in a more organized way on the screen. And crucially, they say it's designed to work just as well with touch as it does with a trackpad.
Tiling windows. That could actually make juggling multiple apps way better on iPad.
It sounds like a fundamental rethink for the iPad's interface. And of course, it gets the full liquid glass design treatment to redesigned icons, widgets, the whole 9 yards.
Right. Okay, shifting over to the Mac then. macOS Tahoe, the lone holdout on the 26 name. But it is getting the liquid glass look.
Oh yeah, definitely gets the liquid glass makeover.
Sure.
And one little visual touch the sources highlight is being able to change folder colors again.
Folder colors. A Mac classic returns. Okay, what about more functional updates? Things that actually change how you use the Mac?
Well, live activities are coming to the Mac. You know those real-time updates on your iPhone lock screen?
Yeah, like delivery tracking or sports scores.
Exactly. Those can now show up right on your Mac desktop. Keeps that info glanceable while you're working. Spotlight search is also getting beefed up.
How so?
It'll have search history now, plus these things called quick keys, like typing ISM to quickly start a new message or R for a reminder.
Oh, handy.
And you'll be able to run shortcuts directly from Spotlight search results too.
Speaking of shortcuts on Mac, they're already pretty powerful. Any changes there?
Yes, they're getting smarter. Apple's introducing something called Intelligent Actions for shortcuts in macOS Tahoe.
Intelligent actions. AI powered.
Sounds like it. The sources suggest it uses AI to help you build more complex automations, combining steps from different apps in smarter ways, more personalized, more powerful workflows.
Interesting. AI creeping into more places. Before we talk more about the whole AI picture, let's quickly cover the other OS updates, watchOS, tvOS, visionOS. What's new there?
Sure. watchOS 26 gets the liquid glass design naturally. The big new feature seems to be the Workout Buddy.
Workout Buddy.
Yeah, it's described as an AI fitness coach using text-to-speech. Gives you personalized recaps and maybe coaching during workouts. The Smart Stack is also improved.
Okay. And wasn't there a new gesture mentioned?
Yes, the wrist flick. Lets you do quick things without touching the screen, navigate notifications, mute calls or alarms, dismiss the Smart Stack. Handy if your other hand is busy.
Makes sense. What about tvOS for the Apple TV?
tvOS 26 gets a bold new look. It's both more cinematic, less UI clutter. New poster art for movies and shows. They also teased some Apple TV Plus stuff and updated Apple Music, saying you can use your iPhone as a mic now with visual effects on the TV.
Fun. And lastly, visionOS for the Vision Pro.
Yeah, visionOS 26 called an expansive update. This source has really emphasized the improvements to virtual personas, the digital avatars of users on calls.
How are they improved?
Apparently, they look dramatically more natural. Better hair, lashes, skin texture, making those virtual interactions feel less, well, uncanny.
That's a big step for virtual presence.
Yeah, it seems crucial for that platform. Oh, and a new widgets app, letting you place widgets from your phone or iPad into your virtual space, and they just stay there.
Okay, so updates everywhere. But you mentioned AI popping up in things like Mac shortcuts and the Workout Buddy. That seemed to be a running theme, right? Especially given the context around Apple and AI lately.
It definitely was. The source material is pretty clear that Wall Street analysts, tech watchers, They were all looking at this WWDC as a really critical opportunity for Apple.
To reassure people about their AI plans after the delays with Apple Intelligence.
Exactly. There was pressure for them to show progress.
So what did they actually say about Apple Intelligence this year? Did they relaunch it?
Well, Tim Cook and Craig Federighi, they did talk about existing AI features, things already in the software. But they also, importantly, addressed the delays head on. They basically acknowledged that some of the bigger Apple Intelligence features they talked about before just weren't ready yet. They needed more time, was the phrase used, and would arrive in the coming year. So confirms a slower, maybe phased rollout.
Okay, so managing expectations on the big stuff. But they did show new AI integrations, right? Where did we see it?
It was woven into specific features, often focused on practical utility. Like for developers, Xcode gets AI coding help using ChatGPT tech.
Right.
Visual intelligence, the AI that understands images, gets smarter.
Yeah.
You can search based on stuff in screenshots, like tap a product to find it online, or even ask ChatGPT questions about what's on your screen.
And some of the OS features we already talked about used AI too.
Yep. Those intelligent actions and Mac shortcuts, the WatchOS Workout Buddy Coach, the phone apps, call screening, and hold assist definitely rely on AI. And the live translation features they're adding to messages and calls, even with non-iPhone users, that's AI-powered too.
So it looks like their strategy, at least for now, is less about this one giant AI launch and more about embedding AI smarts into lots of specific, useful features across the ecosystem that people can use now.
Exactly. It lets them show real, tangible AI benefits today, built into the tools people already use. It demonstrates progress, addresses some of that pressure, even if the big Siri overhaul got pushed back to 2026, which, the sources noted caused a bit of a stir online.
A pragmatic approach, maybe? Deliver value piece by piece while the bigger AI picture develops.
Seems like it. It makes sense from that perspective.
Okay. Before we wrap this all up, were there any other interesting bits and pieces announced that didn't quite fit into the main OS updates?
Yeah, a few other things worth mentioning. The Wallet app is getting more travel and shopping features. The big one is digital ID expanding.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to 9 participating states, the sources say. So in those states, you'll be able to use your iPhone or watch at supported TSA checkpoints for domestic flights and for age or ID checks.
That's a pretty big step towards leaving your physical wallet at home, at least in those places. What else? Maps.
The Maps widget on your iPhone is getting smarter about your commute. It learns your usual routes.
Okay.
And if there's a major delay, it'll proactively send you a notification with alternative routes, even if you haven't started navigating yet. Kind of anticipating problems for you.
Handy for dodging traffic jams. Anything for Apple Music.
Quick ones. Lyric translation is coming to the app, and you can pin your favorite music albums, playlists, whatever, for easier access.
And there was something about a new Games app.
Correct. A dedicated games app, described as an all-in-one destination for your games, playing with friends. It'll have challenges and integrate Apple Arcade, trying to centralize their gaming stuff, it seems.
Makes sense. And finally, CarPlay.
CarPlay is getting an update to be more like an iPhone dashboard. You'll be able to access widgets, see friends' flight info, things like that. But Apple stressed it's designed to keep your focus on driving.
Right, important balance there. Okay, wow, that was a lot to cover from the sources you brought us. Let's try and boil it down. What are the really key takeaways here? Why should you, listening at home, care about all this?
I think it comes down to 3 main things from these sources. First, that big liquid glass design push. It's about making all your Apple devices feel like part of the same family visually.
Okay, consistency.
Second, the really significant updates to the core apps and systems, iOS, iPadOS, macOS especially. They're adding real features, trying to make things more powerful or solve common frustrations.
More capability.
And third, the AI story. Even with delays on the bigger vision, they're clearly embedding AI into practical tools across the board, aiming to make things subtly smarter right now.
So for the average person using their iPhone, their Mac,
Wow.
what's the promise here when these updates land this fall?
The promise is that your devices should feel more cohesive, maybe a bit more capable, and hopefully a little more personalized and helpful. Whether it's the new look, the smarter apps, or those AI touches, the goal seems to be improving that day-to-day experience across the board. betas next month, full release in the fall is the usual timeline.
Right. So we've got the WWDC reveal, this big theme of unification, the evolving AI strategy, and all those specific feature updates. Plus, the context from the sources about analyst views and that slight dip in stock price afterward, maybe reflecting that measured AI approach.
Yeah, it paints a pretty comprehensive picture of where Apple's software is heading for the next year. It's a mix of ambitious design changes and more pragmatic feature rollouts.
This has been a really great deep dive, unpacking all those WWDC details from the sources. Thanks for bringing them to us.
My pleasure. Always interesting to see the strategy unfold.
So as we finish up, here's something to think about building on all this. With Apple pushing so hard for this unified liquid glass look, trying to make everything feel the same, and embedding AI into lots of these smaller, useful features, what kind of possibilities or maybe even challenges does that create for how we end up interacting with all our different gadgets in the future? Something to mull over.